What is going on, everybody? My name is Kneeckoh and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC Moveset Guide video. Today, we are talking about the new hotness as far as Trick Room teams go, that being SINISTCHA. This thing is super cool as in like any Trick Room scenario, but also it has a lot of other useful tools. This Pokemon's way better than anybody was anticipating, and I'm excited to talk about it here today. But if this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you are subbed for more videos like this in the future, and let me know your thoughts on SINISTCHA in the comments below. Let's get into it. So SINISTCHA is actually kind of crazy. I really like this Pokemon. I featured it in a couple teams already on the channel. It's just incredibly powerful. If you look at its base stats, it's got decent bulk in the form of 71 base HP, 106 defense, and 80 special defense. So decently bulky as a Pokemon. Also, you have access to just maxing and maxing. Do 252 HP, 252 defense, and you're super bulky. You already have a really high base special attack stat at 121. This Pokemon is able to just kind of deal with stuff. I've been running Modest Nature on this more than anything because the ability for this Pokemon to recover health is astronomical. It's actually crazy how much health you can recover on this Pokemon. So I have been just maxing and maxing to maximize my defenses, and then just not worry about my attack stat, just have Modest kind of cover that base. It's incredibly powerful. On top of this, you have Hospitality, which is an awesome new ability that was added in the Teal Mask, where if you switch in SINISTCHA, this Pokemon is going to restore 25% of an ally's maximum HP, which is absolutely crazy. It is so incredibly solid as far as a support Pokemon goes, because it has awesome movesets, move pool that you can pull from to really maximize what you're using this Pokemon for. So this is a very common set that you're seeing on SINISTCHA right now, and honestly, as far as Terra types go, you're seeing a lot of water to avoid your fire weakness, and you can switch out of your ghost weakness as well, but you're also seeing a lot of dark. Dark is another good one in case you don't want to get taunted or something. Like Prankster taunted, or you don't want to get hit hard by a ghost type attack. That's a really solid option for this particular Pokemon, is dark Terra typing. So I really like that. Leftovers is really solid on this Pokemon just to get that additional recovery, because this Pokemon can recover health like crazy. And then the final thing I want to talk about that's super big is its signature move, Machigacha. This is an 80 base power move with 90% accuracy that hits both of the opposing targets. There's a 20% chance to burn, and you recover 50% of the damage dealt. It will thaw foes if they are frozen, so you do have to worry about that. But absolutely crazy amount of effects that this move has, because you're recovering a bunch of health, there's a chance to burn, and it just does decent damage as far as a spread move goes, and you get stab bonus on it. It's just really powerful. So this Pokemon, again, is super solid as a Trick Room option because its base speed isn't that fantastic at 70, and it just is so bulky, it's very difficult to just immediately remove from the field. So for that reason, it's fantastic. On top of this, you do have the Hospitality bonus, but you do also get access to a lot of other fun things, like Rage Powder is awesome on this because you are so bulky, you're able to eat those hits. Very solid in that regard. You also have access to Strength Sap, which is super cool. So you are going to heal and lower the target's attack stat by 1 stage. That is absolutely crazy. You're going to heal a ton. It's ridiculous how much you heal from Strength Sap. And then the final move I have on this first one is Trick Room. You can use this on a Trick Room team or as a Trick Room counter to like just kind of throw it out and reset, so that way the Trick Room is no more. I've been using it in that regard as well on a couple teams, so really just all around incredibly solid Pokemon. The next one is very similar to the original, however I've swapped out Strength Sap for Shadow Ball. This allows you to deal with Flutter Mane more effectively and allow you to just kind of dish out a ton of damage. Again, you have a ridiculously high base special attack stat, so being able to just hit stuff pretty hard with Shadow Ball, potentially get that special defense drop, is absolutely fantastic on this Pokemon. Finally, for this particular Pokemon, we're seeing a couple of them run Nasty Plot, and that's because of this insanely high special attack stat. Running Nasty Plot with this thing, getting rid of Strength Sap for Shadow Ball, really solid to just dish out a ton of damage. You can drop Rage Powder, keep Trick Room, because then you can use it as a potential counter Trick Room option, but then you can just Nasty Plot and deal a ton of damage with your Machigachas, healing back a ton of health, or dishing out a bunch of damage with your Shadow Ball. Just a very powerful Pokemon. Now, let's talk about some teammates that really like playing with SINISTCHA on the team. The first one that immediately comes to mind is Kommo-o. Komo-o is fantastic because right now you're seeing a lot of Clangorous Soul on this Pokemon. It's going to lose 33% of its max HP, but it's going to gain +1 to all stats. It's like budget Dondozo right now. And it is really solid in a Terra meta because you can avoid that fairy type weakness that you're getting from Fluttermanes. You're just able to dish out a bunch of damage with this Pokemon. Typically, you're seeing like Terra Steel, but the big reason you like seeing this next to SINISTCHA is because you're losing that 33% max HP. So a lot of these are running like leftovers on them and running Clangorous Soul, and then after they set Clangorous Soul, they rotate in SINISTCHA to get that additional health back. Makes for a really powerful combination and allows this Pokemon to just kind of keep setting up and doing a bunch of damage. So I really like this combo a lot. Another one that immediately comes to mind is Snorlax. Snorlax is incredibly solid right now as far as Trick Room teams goes. It's just a very powerful Pokemon. You're really seeing a lot of Belly Drum on this thing. You're seeing it next to Clefairy, but also seeing it next to SINISTCHA for the same reason as Komo-o. Because when you Belly Drum, you're going to take a lot of damage. You're going to lose 50% of your max HP, but it's going to max out your attack. So you run this with like a Citrus Berry or another Healing Berry item, and you're able to set your Belly Drum, rotate in SINISTCHA, get a bunch of your health back, and dish out a ton of damage. So it pairs just so incredibly nicely with these two particular Pokemon because of the way that they play. Having to sacrifice health to get stat bonuses, it's just very, very powerful for that reason. But as far as other Pokemon go, really any Trick Room team is going to benefit from a SINISTCHA. SINISTCHA is just really, really solid in that regard as a Trick Room Pokemon. Now, Pokemon that aren't going to like seeing SINISTCHA, right? Depending on the set, this can change. If you're not running Shadow Ball, some of these do change. However, Pokemon that don't like seeing SINISTCHA are going to be things like Iron Hands. Now, Iron Hands doesn't necessarily take a ton of damage from SINISTCHA. However, it just doesn't hit SINISTCHA that hard unless it's running Heavy Slam, right? So you have like Wild Charge on this thing, and you have Drain Punch, which both are... Drain Punch isn't even going to hit SINISTCHA, but Wild Charge does not very effective damage, allowing you to just kind of ignore Iron Hands altogether and keep Machagachiing and just healing yourself back up. Very, very solid into the Iron Hands matchup. You have that potential to burn as well with Machagacha, which puts you in a really strong situation. Again, like I said, there is that Heavy Slam potential, and that does play decently into SINISTCHA, but you can play around that very carefully as well. So I honestly likes playing into Iron Hands. Any water type Pokemon that is prevalent right now, looking at like Ogerpon, Water Ogerpon doesn't really like SINISTCHA all that much. Empoleon has seen some play. Empoleon isn't going to enjoy it that much. Milotic as well, seen some play. Not gonna like SINISTCHA all that much because again, you're able to just sit there and Machagacha and get a bunch of health back in return to dishing out a bunch of damage with your Machagacha. Really, really awesome Pokemon as far as that goes. Now, like I mentioned, you're decent into ghost types if you're running Shadow Ball. Looking at like Fluttermane doesn't like taking a Shadow Ball from this. Other ghost types running around. Oh, actually, you don't even have to think necessarily about ghost types. Monkey Dory will be popping up. It's not necessarily amazing, but it will be popping up just because people want to play with the new toys. Being able to hit Monkey Dory for decent damage with your Shadow Ball is really nice. Other Psychic type Pokemon, Armarouge and Aditi are making the rounds. So being able to hit Armarouge with a Shadow Ball is incredibly solid. Hatterene is also making some rounds. Hatterene getting hit with a Shadow Ball does not appreciate it. Really solid into that. I have also seen some other, Psychic Trick Room setters. So like Bronzong I've seen running around. Wherever Bronzong is, there it is. Bronzong is not going to appreciate a Shadow Ball from this Pokemon. So there's a handful of things that this just plays solidly into because there's just not a lot that Pokemon can do in return to it. So I really like it. Another one, Watershifu. Watershifu does not like Machagacha at all. It really hates Machagacha. Also, if you're running Terra Water and maybe even a Rocky Helm or something, you can Rage Powder the Surging Strikes into your SINISTCHA and just ignore Urshifu altogether, which is incredibly solid. So definitely another thing to consider as far as SINISTCHA goes as a potential counter to Watershifu. Just a really solid Pokemon. Now, things that you're not gonna like seeing as a SINISTCHA. There are some Pokemon that do cause some problems for you. Fluttermane, as well as being able to hit it very hard, it can cause problems for you simply because of the fact that it is a very powerful Pokemon. You are taking neutral damage from Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam, so you do have to be cautious about that. But Fluttermane is a potential problem. Any fire type or flying type that's running around, so looking at like Landorus, Not this Lando. We want Therian. Lando Therian running around right now. That's going to potentially cause problems with like Terra Blast. Looking at Arcanine. Hisuian Arcanine's running around still. You're going to have issues with this particular Pokemon. So there are a handful of things that SINISTCHA doesn't necessarily play favorably into, but this Pokemon is just absolutely insane. It is a staple on so many teams right now because it's just got so many tools at its disposal to just kind of make the opposing team kind of null and void, and I love it for that reason. Like it's so solid as a support Pokemon, especially on Trick Room teams. I am absolutely in love with this Pokemon. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoy it. If you did, leave a like and sub for more videos like this in the future. Check out the Discord. People over there hanging out, playing Pokemon all the time. And if you want to see anything else from me, check out any of the videos that you see here on screen. But until next time, peace.